Hi everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and today we're about to watch The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3, which is about to drop tonight. The last thing that we left off with was the Mythosaur, and just to see Bo-Katan's, her shell-shocked reaction to what she thought was a fairy tale ended up being a reality. And so I wonder how they're going to really address that. What does that mean in terms of Mandalore in general, and how will that really set up for the rest of the season? Like, is this going to cause any sort of conflict between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin? What's going to happen with some of the things that she thought were fairy tales? Like, what does that mean for the other things that she thought were fairy tales? And are they going to do some more exploration of the Mandalore planet? And not just that, but I can't wait to see more of Grogu. I feel like, again, like each episode, I'm always just squealing whenever I see Grogu. Like, my heart sinks for him every time. Last episode was just great, seeing him in action and having far more action than I've ever seen him do before. Finally nice to see him have a much more upgraded role last episode, because typically speaking we see him kind of being the one in trouble, and now it was kind of the reverse. So definitely look forward to seeing more of Grogu tonight. Look forward to seeing what this Mythosaur is, as well as what this means for the dynamic between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into episode 3 of The Mandalorian. Oh, she's still shell-shocked. Oh, now he's finally awake. Oh, Grogu, tending to his daddy.
I am redeemed.
I witnessed it. You bathed in the living waters. You are Mandalorian again.
Yay!
Can we leave now?
She doesn't even want to tackle the Mythosaur, isn't it?
Can I ask you something?
Oh!
What is it?
You see anything down there?
I saw the chasm passing.
Did you see anything alive?
Alive? Like what?
Nothing.
She's so curious.
Let's get
Oh my
here.
God. Oh man, this is gonna be rubbing her back for a while, isn't it?
For a feast, but I'm guessing that helmet isn't coming off again.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. Oh! Did he just say it? Did he just say it? Did he just say it?
We took
Come
a hit.
on!
Something's coming up on us fast.
Where'd they come from?
I've scuttled off a lot of Imperial warlords.
They tend to get mad when you hijack their ships.
Now you tell me.
Nice shot.
Interceptors are a lot
Nice.
tougher than TIE fighters.
Are you still up for the transfer?
I don't see any other choice.
Oh, baby. Oh. Nice. What? Nice.
Made it to the N1. Heading to you.
Nice. Protect the baby at all costs.
Of course, it's been a while.
Dang. Bo-Katan. Nice.
Thanks for the backup.
Nice.
2 more to go.
Easy peasy. Oh, poor droid. Poor droid. Baby!
I'm seeing something on the scope.
No.
No. What? No. That is effed up. Yo.
Mudskiffers bombed my home.
That is effed up. And there's still the baby on board. Oh my god. I would be pissed too. What?
Bo, we've got company.
How many
Bo,
are
listen
there?
to me. You have to get out of there.
Is that Coruscant? That's Coruscant. That's Coruscant. Can't believe we're back on Coruscant. How many times do we always have to go back to Coruscant? But here we are. We're in Coruscant.
Comfortable compared to the Outer Rim.
The Outer Rim, I can't imagine. You know, I was almost drafted. Imagine me serving.
Oh, darling, that was the Empire.
Oh,
Oh,
my
boy.
apologies. Empire, Rebels, New Republic, I can't keep track. That's why I should just keep my mouth shut.
We try not to get involved.
Well, I think you deserve the very best, Doctor. After everything you've been through.
Looks like what housing looks like.
I didn't expect to see anyone from Moff Gideon's ship here.
Gideon.
Him anymore. Thanks to the rehabilitation program, I can contribute to the New Republic. Just like you.
Is she being genuine about that though?
Long live the New Republic.
Oh boy. Little do they know what's gonna happen.
Long live the New Republic.
In life, I'll die happy.
All right, well.
If I want something dry, I'll just listen to your joke.
Okay.
Oh, the biscuits.
Oh. It's just
What is
so many
that?
people. It's all a bit overwhelming.
Glowy ice cream?
Please refrain from physical contact with
So
movement.
sorry. You knew that was gonna happen, didn't you?
I've done a lot of things I'm ashamed of. I have a lot to make up for. But if your research really is as important as you say, I'll take that risk.
Happy to demonstrate
Can I be honest with you? We are really behind here. Not only do we have the Imperial disposal yards to inventory, but we're still decommissioning the Alliance fleet. I'm sure you understand.
I just think I could be
Oh, dang.
helpful if I could.
It would require authorization from the department.
Experienced any feelings of anger or resentment towards the New Republic government or its representatives?
Probably yes.
Apologies if you didn't hear me. Have you experienced any feelings of anger or resentment?
No.
Thank you for continuing to
Have you done this before?
Sounds like it.
Where do you think I got the biscuits?
Haha.
Tickets, please.
Oh,
Tickets,
Steve.
please.
Follow me.
Tickets, please. Thank you.
Ooh,
Keep moving.
favorite spot.
We'll work on that. Sorry.
Not so smooth now, huh? Oh. Oh no. It's the end of the train!
Approaching shipyard depot. First station.
Better not
We're gonna
jump.
jump!
Oh no.
What?
Trust me!
Okay.
Now, shipyard depot.
He feels alive. Oh, wow. Okay. Haven't seen that in a long time.
Never done.
Here?
This is perfect. Only. What was that?
Just the ship settling.
Not a good thing.
Keep packing. I'll keep watch just in case.
Oh, they've been caught. Dang. That sucks. Does she still work for Moff Gideon?
Amnesty Officer G68 has already submitted a report.
What did she tell you?
Wait,
no.
This is a mind flare.
This is a 602 mitigator. It's a non-invasive experimental treatment recently approved for rehabilitation.
No, it's a mind flare.
It's a similar device, but we found at low voltages it can be used to help soothe, so absolutely not. This isn't the Empire, son. This device is used to heal. I've been through the treatment myself, in fact, and I found the experience quite refreshing.
Please, just let me explain.
Sure.
I was just
Okay.
trying to help.
This will only...
You don't understand. She brought me there. It was a trap. Please, I just wanted to help.
God.
She set me up. Please. You set me up.
Yeah, she did set you up. It was pretty clear from the start.
You are a real credit to this program. It's nice to know that for every failure, there's a success like you.
She must have some sort of agenda. It's been pretty clear she has an agenda. I'm assuming she's doing it on the order of Moff Gideon or avenging him, because that's what I'm getting a sense of. Yeah, I figured.
I'm bringing you to a Mandalorian covert. This is how we have survived in exile.
I'm familiar.
It's a secret location, and you are my guest.
They still live by the old ways.
Yes, it will go smoother if you keep your helmet on. Trust me.
Of course.
This is gonna be something. Grogu! Oh, he does not like her. He's getting some bad senses from her because, like, you know,
Come
they're
no
not
further.
the same.
You an apostate, Din Djarin.
No longer. I have been to the...
It was not you who was lying.
He speaks the truth.
Because she was there.
I was witness.
And who are you, Night Owl?
I am Bo-Katan of Clan Kreese.
Your house has fallen from the way. You were both apostates.
We have been to the living waters.
They're like, what?
I bring proof.
Ah, smart. Smart. The Grogu's like, smart.
We shall.
Technically speaking, so as a Bo-Katan, if you think about it.
I was... He speaks the truth.
Uh-huh.
These are indeed the living waters. Dinjarin, you are redeemed. This is the way.
This is the way.
So did Bo-Katan, if you think about it.
And Bo-Katan Kryze. By creed, you too are redeemed.
But I do not walk the way.
Did you bathe in the waters?
Oh.
I did.
And have you removed your helmet since?
No.
No, I have not.
Then you may join our covert and live as your ancestors once did. You may leave anytime you wish. Until then, you are one of us.
Oh.
Welcome, Bo-Katan of Clan Kryze.
This is awkward.
This is the way.
This is the way.
He doesn't like it. I need to know how Bo-Katan's feeling right now. Oh. Oh man. Is she having some second thoughts about everything? I don't know what's going on in her mind. So that was episode 3 right there. I did not expect the direction that they're going to take in this episode. I thought when we were going into episode 3 that we're gonna explore more of what happened on Mandalore, especially with the thing with the Mythosaur, but it didn't seem like that was the case. So let me just get right down to it. Like, I was pretty surprised that most of this episode was focused on Doctor Pershing and the Imperial officer from that used to work with Moff Gideon, and that's a really interesting bit. But I already get a sense of why they went back to Coruscant, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be connected to Grogu in some way of some course. Like, I'm really getting that sense that that's where we're probably going to have a moment where Grogu might need to be back on Coruscant for some reason, because for them to feature Coruscant, it's pretty clear that right away the first thing that's coming to your mind is, well, this is where a bulk of Order 66 happened, right? So I wonder if that's why they were focused so heavily on Dr. Pershing, because we haven't seen him in a while, right? And we know that he wasn't like the other Imperial officers who were very devoted to the Empire. Like, he was someone who just cared about his work, right? Wanted to make a difference. And he only used the resources that the Empire had and, used it to his advantage to maybe do something that will hopefully maybe one day, whatever he is, testing, it will fall into the wrong hands, right? Having said that, I was, again, pretty surprised how long that story took. It took about probably a good 75% of what this episode was. So, I will say this for one thing, like, watching this episode, it definitely gave me a lot of Endor vibes, because it's not, very action heavy. It's not not focused on the main characters. It's like going to like one of the, side supporting characters and kind of just showing what their lifestyle's like as a result of like an event that happened, right? So in this case, we're basically seeing what happened to Dr. Pershing as a result of, Moff Gideon being arrested, him, leaving the, the Empire, like the fraction of the Empire that's still left. And I was really getting the sense of, okay, like, this is giving me a lot of Endor vibes, because it was really kind of going into like the realities of what life is like as like an ordinary citizen, and especially in this case, someone who was a former Imperial officer, Imperial scientist, who's now trying to live a different life as a, I guess you could say, refugee, or I know he got amnesty, so like basically that lifestyle and kind of what he's dealing with, right? For one thing, he's he appreciates what happened, the fact that Coruscant and the government that is in charge of it, so the New Republic basically has allowed him to remain as an amnesty there in Coruscant, and he seems pretty dedicated to the New Republic. And then at the same time, it's like he realizes that the limitations that are being set upon him, like, he's not really going upon his full potential. So that was really interesting to kind of see that perspective. And then of course we have the other Imperial officer who, of course, from the just from from the beginning, right? It was pretty clear that she had an agenda. Like she had some sort of scheme that she was going to deceive him some point in some way, that he was only using him for like probably what I sense was like a form of revenge for betraying Moff Gideon. So I had that sense pretty deep down that this is not going to end well for him. And I mean, I appreciate that they really kind of did it. Like, I mean, typically speaking, when we do have stories like this, it takes about 1 or 2 episodes to get through, but they did this under probably about like a good 30 minutes to kind of catch us up with Dr. Pershing. And I guess in this case, there is a reason why he is still involved, why they had to go back to him and focus on what happened to him, post the days of Moff Gideon, right? Because, I mean, I'm going to assume that he's going to be very significant in terms of, what's going to happen with Grogu. Like, right now, we don't know exactly where Grogu's story is going, right? Like, all we get is that he has, he's accepted the way of the Mandalorian. We've got that sense. And that, from what I've seen so far, it's just establishing more of that father-son relationship between him and Din. And yet, I feel like there's far more that we are probably going to see when it comes to Grogu's story. And I mean, they hinted this in the trailer, like, we're going to, look back at Order 66 at some point, somewhere, right? Like, I was just looking, I'm like, are we going to see the Jedi Temple? And I feel like that's going to be the case, right? There's just no other way that they are revisiting Coruscant and showing Doctor Pershing, who happens to be, who happens to have a prior relationship with Grogu, knowing that, he was going to test him back in season 1, because of the force that he has, and we've seen that before. I wonder if that's kind of contributing to what he was trying to study regarding about cloning, and trying to understand the science behind that, to find some sort of better way to make living as a human better, right? And not just in Coruscant, but just, across the galaxy. And so I already got that sense that this is probably why they, introduced this side of the story, why they focus so heavily on that, because there's got to be some sort of connection there between him and Grogu right there. So I was like, yeah, it's pretty clear where that's coming from. So definitely, like, I'm curious to see if they're going to focus more on that. I also think that this basically solidifies that we're probably going to see Moff Gideon at some point this season. Like, even though he got arrested back in, the season 2 finale, I mean, let's be clear, like, did we really think that was gonna be the last of Moff Gideon? Like, I don't think so. Like, we're probably gonna see him back just from this, right? Like, I think that's just a clue right there that he's probably coming back somehow, some form, probably gonna escape some sort of Republic prison or something like that. We're probably going to see that at some point kind of unfold, so that's going to be very interesting to see. But definitely an added subplot that has me questioning a lot of what's going to happen. So that was just one thing I wanted to mention, because that basically took up a bulk of the episode. As for like the Bo-Katan, Mandalorian, and Grogu situation, because that took about the rest of the 25 episodes, 25% of this episode that we saw. I mean, for one thing, like that beginning sequence with the attack from the TIE fighters, that was pretty cool to see. That was some pretty cool sequences, some action scenes I know a lot of people are going to enjoy. I certainly enjoy it. I mean, just to see how skillful Din and Bo-Katan are when it comes to trying to fight off TIE fighters, that was very interesting. I mean, that was for one thing. And then, of course, the other thing, the main part is basically their arrival with the Kree and meeting up with them. And I had this sense of like, wait a second, Bo-Katan also fell in that water. That means that she's technically also been redeemed too, right? So, and considering the fact that they, the TIE fighters had destroyed her castle, like, I'm very curious to see what is going on in Bo-Katan's mind. Because right now, I mean, yes, this whole episode I think this is like maybe the one episode where we haven't seen Bo-Katan remove her helmet at all. So, like, we can't really, understand what she's feeling right now. Although, I guess we can get a sense of it, like intuitively, like, how she's feeling. Like, I can sense there is a bit of this confliction because, like, for one thing, she never wanted to be part of the Kree, but yet it's like, okay, well, a lot of things happened. She lost her, her supporters. She's alone at her castle. she saw something that, you know, what she thought was basically a fairy tale, all of a sudden realized that, you know, it's real, like the truths of everything that's happening that she never would have imagined. And now it's like I can sense maybe she might be questioning a lot of things that, you know, that she didn't think of before, or like had doubts about, or judged a lot. And now it's like, okay, what is she thinking right now? And the fact that they've now accepted her, knowing that she's basically has, you know, cleansed herself from the Mandalorian pool that she went through, that's gonna be very interesting. I wonder what that's going to mean going forward this season, because I did not expect that was going to be the thing until like we got just mere moments into it. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be very, very intriguing to see kind of how, you know, how she's gonna react to that. What her decision's gonna be. Is she gonna like leave the Kree, or she's gonna give them a chance and stick around with Din? Like lots of questions about that. Like, I mean, that definitely changes a lot of the dynamic moving forward into season 3. So I wonder if, you know, if this is only going to, like, what does this mean moving forward, right? Like, now I'm kind of seeing that, well, now that she is with the Kree, like, technically speaking, Din and Bo-Katan are not enemies, as I had suspected early on when we had seen the trailers, that they were going to be, like, enemies. And now I'm like, what are they playing here, right? So definitely a lot of interesting things that popped up, like things I did not expect in terms of, you know, not just kind of like the setup of the episode, but also kind of a lot of things that, you know, transpired as a result of a lot of things that happened in season 2, right? The season 2 finale. And now we're kind of seeing the consequences of a lot of things that have been, you know, coming through in the last, you know, few episodes, right? Yeah, in terms of this episode overall, like, I think just like the production, everything, like, again, I got a lot of Andor vibes out of it. So it's like, we're getting a sense of like what is, like, you know, as a civilian on a planet or whatnot, right? And like what they're dealing with. Very interesting stuff. I mean, again, I wish I would have seen more of Mandalorian and more of Bo-Katan and more of Grogu, because like that is kind of what I thought was gonna be the setup of this whole season. But there has to be a purpose for that whole sequence, right? They had to have dedicated such, you know, like screen time for Doctor Pershing, and, you know, allowing us to, you know, get an update of what happened to him. It's like, okay, well, this must be setting up for something, right? Like, again, I'm the one I'm getting a deep connection to is that it has to do with something with Grogu. That has to be the case. So I wonder where that's going to set up. And again, I think overall in terms of the story, I mean, it's a pretty decent addition. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, just because, like, again, I'm like, for me, it's a Mandalorian, right? It's a show about the Mandalorian, and it's like, okay, I would like to see the Mandalorian, see what's happening there, right? And I mean, a lot of people are probably going to compare this episode to what happened, like, in the sense of, like, the creative, you know, decisions in a way that we saw with, you know, the Book of Boba Fett, where, like, in the Book of Boba Fett, like, in the last few episodes, we didn't even see freaking Boba, right? Boba Fett, like, we didn't even see him. You know, and this one, it's like, well, we only saw 25% of Mando, and the rest of the episode was basically Doctor Pershing and an update of him, which, I mean, again, they had to done that for a reason. And I'm assuming that they basically had to kind of sacrifice this episode to really allow far more of that depth of what's going on, giving that update and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not totally upset about it. I mean, it's really, I mean, for me, it's like, I think having seen this episode, I've now started to understand more of who Doctor Pershing is as a person than I did in, like, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, right? Like, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, like, I got a sense of who he is. Like, I can see the confliction out of him. I can see that he's definitely one of the more good guys in the Imperial side. But I feel like this episode really kind of established more of his, you know, personality, his backstory a little bit. The fact that, you know, he mentions his mother, how his mother was basically who influenced him to become the doctor he is today, or scientist that he is today. So definitely, like, I got a sense of more of who Dr. Pershing is. I wonder what that's going to mean, having, you know, gone through that, you know, procedure right there, and what, you know, the other Imperial officer had done. So lots of questions about that, of course, but it had to be done for a reason, right? So I hope that this is an episode that's going to at least pay off in some of the future episodes we do get, like, especially the next one that we're going to get. But yeah, I mean, again, this is a pretty decent addition. I'm not totally too, I'm not too excited about this episode overall, but I think it's a really good addition, giving us a bit more of that setup, kind of that build up to everything, giving us, again, I feel like for this one, the story is far more structured. So that's something I will definitely give props for. Like, this is a story where, like, because there isn't so much of the action, like, aside from, like, the first 15 minutes, aside from that, like, most of this was basically dialogue heavy and understanding the characters and the character study and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like I have to at least appreciate that, because I understand more of these characters, again, showing that, the world isn't just about the Mandalorians, and just about the Jedi, the Sith. There is, civilians out there, and there's people who have been affected by what has happened, throughout the galactic war and everything like that, right? So definitely a very interesting decision. I think it might pay off by the time we get to the, season finale. Again, like, my only guess is that he is probably the connection to Grogu, which probably means that we're gonna get a sense of, like, more of what happened on, the night of Order 66, who saved him, like, what happened, all that sort of stuff. So that's just kind of my theory right there. Like, I'm already setting up my theory right there. Like, okay, this has to be connected to Coruscant, right? So I'm going to sense that we're probably going to see Mando and Bo-Katan end up in Coruscant at some point. As to why, still not sure yet. Maybe it has to do something with the Kree, maybe. I don't know, but we're going to see about that. In terms of the Kree stuff, again, as I mentioned before, I wonder what that's going to mean for Bo-Katan. Like, I know she's going to feel really conflicted. Is this going to create another sort of civil war, or is this going to set up a civil war between the new Mandalorians and the Kree? We don't know yet. I mean, that's going to be something I have to, like, keep an eye on. What does this mean for Bo-Katan, knowing that, she's, technically speaking, she has been redeemed, right? She has done the same procedure that, Mando has done, and it's like, okay, she's technically now Kree again, so what does that mean, right? So lots of questions about that, of course. I wonder if this is it for any more of these Mando helmet removal scenes. Like, are we never gonna see Mando ever remove his helmet again? I hope not. I mean, I hope we do get to see it again, and maybe, because this title was called, I believe, The Convert, right? So I wonder what this would mean. It's like, is Bo-Katan the convert? Like, is she officially going to change her philosophy as a Mandalorian and revert back to more of the old, followings of the Mandalorian her ancestors used to follow? Like, that's going to be very interesting to see. Like, I guess probably by the next episode, we're probably going to see more of how she, observes how these, how the old Mandalorian ways are, how the Kree, move on with their lives, how they deal with their lives, what their livelihoods are. I guess the rules, the policies, and everything of that sort, and probably see again, like, how she processes the whole situation. And again, right now, I was pretty surprised how low-key Grogu was in this episode. He didn't really do much, although I will say, I'm pretty sure he did say this is the way in his own language. So I wonder what that means. Like, is he gonna try and convert himself into a Mandalorian? Does that mean he's gonna get his own, uniform and outfit and helmet, like the way that Mando and Bo-Katan have been dressed up? But that was a really cute moment. That was a really, really cute moment. Like everyone was just, like, looking at him. And it's like, oh, did he just say this is the way in his language? Like, is he talking? Like, oh man, that was a really cute moment. Of course, that was basically ruined because of the TIE fighters, but that was a very, very cute moment right there. I love Grogu so much. I would literally die for him. That's how much I love Grogu. But yeah, that was a really cute moment. That's probably the only, I guess, like, big Grogu moment we got, aside from, I guess, a very, very beginning part where he was standing right next to Din and, like, making sure that he was okay after the whole near drowning experience that he just had the previous episode. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think I covered all the bases. I think this is a pretty decent episode. I appreciate, at least with, like, how very character driven it was, how it was far more sophisticated. It wasn't very action heavy, and it was, like, I guess in a sense, setting up something that's going to be very important. Although I will say this definitely feels like a very a very huge subplot that, somehow has to have some sort of significance. again, like, I wonder what this is going to mean. Like, there has to serve a purpose. I know a lot of people are probably going to be a bit conflicted because it doesn't, this episode is mostly about Dr. Pershing and, his lifestyle and, kind of what he's been feeling so far, and probably setting up something again in Coruscant. But, and then the fact that there's only like about 20 minutes of footage with Mando, Grogu, and Bo-Katan, and that's about it, right? So I can see a lot of people are going to be maybe somewhat conflicted about this episode because it doesn't have their main characters, right? The main characters weren't even in most of this episode, right? So I can see where that's gonna happen. But honestly, I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, just having seen this, I'm going to expect that this is going to be very, crucial moving forward into the future episodes that we're gonna get. I think after today we have about 6 more episodes left. Because today was episode 3, and I think we only have 9 episodes this season, so that will make it like 6 episodes left. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully we're going to see a possible payoff to that whole subplot right there, and again, just that whole unexpected circumstances with Bo-Katan. That's going to be interesting to see moving forward. But yeah, I think that's all I have to really say about this episode. Lots of interesting things, lots of interesting decisions that were made in terms of the writing and the characters and the direction that we're going to see, and probably going to be setting up the rest of season 3. Like, I again, lots of questions about that. I already been making theories about it, but I think that's all we have to say about it, right? So let me know your thoughts are. Like, what do you think about this episode so far? Like, did you like the idea that they focus more on Dr. Pershing? Do you also agree that, this could be setting up for something far more important than we anticipated? Like, far more than Din trying to redeem themselves using the Mandalorian water pool that he had to go and deal with. Or, maybe they, it's worth having a story, but maybe it was too long. Is that what you think? Overall, what do you think about the whole direction that's going on with Mando and Bo-Katan? Like, how do you feel about the fact that, technically speaking, Bo-Katan has also been, redeemed because of the fact that she's also been under the water and cleansed herself? So how do you feel about that? What do you think this is going to, how this is going to affect Bo-Katan, how this is going to affect, Din Djarin? What does this mean about the Mandalorian overall, like, between the new and the, old ways? Like, is this setting up for something that could be another civil war or something else? And yeah, do you expect that the whole sequence in Coruscant means that we're going to get something very big about Grogu's backstory? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.